The 4 has so many different variants for the driver that needs performance, and that's what we're bringing today with the Gran Coupe. We're going to show you that in a small segment like this. 2023 BMW M440i Gran Coupe in Alpine White. In its junior year with rivals like Audi S5 Sportback, Genesis G70 3.3 Turbo, Mercedes-Benz AMG C43. In this series today, who is going to really have the most interior, cargo, and performance? I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides. I'm going to go over all the specs and details starting now. The BMW M440i Gran Coupe holds the performance in the front. Even though the kidney grille is something that people dislike and they talk a lot about, there's a lot of purpose behind it. The kidney grille has bars and flaps that automatically adjust open when additional air is needed for cooling. The system remains closed during warm-up and at low operating loads. For better performance and aerodynamics, it also features air breathers and air curtains in the front apron and side fenders. Most of the air cooling comes from the bottom. The top part where the kidney grille is, when it's closed, is going to help with less drag and better aerodynamics, allowing air to go around the vehicle. When the vehicle gets hot or the lower air that comes into is not enough to cool down the engine, the grille opens, increasing the cooling. It is a temperature-regulated feature for the coolant temperature, AC condenser, trans oil temperature, catalytic converter, changing air temperature, brake temperature, and driving speed. The kidney grille is not connected to any of the driving modes. LED headlamps and daytime running, 5149 weight distribution, which none of the rivals is going to have the dynamics like this. The ground clearance is not going to be the best, but you're still over 5 inches, set with these 19-inch bi-spoke, multi-spoke alloy wheels. We have the M Sport brake calipers with 4 pistons in the front, 15.7-inch disc reading. The rear's at 15 inches. Front suspension with spring struts and anti-roll bars. The rear is a 5-link with cast aluminum upper transversal arms, twin tube gas pressure shock absorbers, M Sport differential, M Sport suspension. The longest comparing to the rivals at 188.5 inches, a wheelbase at 112.4 inches. Slope roof line, that's what the Gran Coupe stands for, and it really goes after the Audi S5. The S6 is going to increase the price point, so it's going to be a little bit more money than this MSRP. So that's why I chose the S5 Sportback. LED tail lamps that wrap around, comparing this to the Mercedes AMG C43. This in the rear and the front is going to look a lot more performance driven in my personal opinion. Obviously, people in the comments may say otherwise, but I like how everything in the lower is gloss black, and you have more of a box structure, so it's very similar to the 2 and the 3. And because it's a hatchback, you're going to have a wider opening. It's a lower opening, power hatch to go inside to 16.6 cubic feet. You have a 12-volt charger, some storage on both of the sides. Split fold the rear bench at a 40-20-40 split, increasing the cargo to 45.6 cubic feet. This is a twin scroll turbocharged. Let's go inside, start it up so you can hear that exhaust note. And and they back the performance with a 3.0-liter BMW M twin-powered turbo inline 6-cylinder with a 48-volt hybrid technology paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission, achieving 24 to 32 mpgs, a 0 to 60 around 4.7 seconds with a quarter mile at 12.4 seconds. With all these numbers throughout the review, what does this really come down to with performance? The S5 and the G70 is going to have less horsepower. Torque is going to be more in the Genesis G70 3.3 turbo. The C43 will have the most horsepower, but it's the same torque as the BMW. The quarter mile will be the fastest, but it's tied with the C43. It's gonna be the slowest 0 to 60 comparing to the rivals, but it's still a twin scroll turbocharged BMW engine, which means you have that fun to drive spirit and you have room to take people and enjoy as well. Let me know in the comments what you think about the 2023 BMW M440i Gran Coupe. As we go into the interior, go over the tech, and take this for our test rig inside the BMW M440i Gran Coupe. You're going to receive 38.6 inches of headroom, 41.5 inches of legroom, Takara red Syntec seats, 12-way power adjustment for the driver, 8-way for the passenger. Both will get the manual cushion extensions and they're heated. Aluminum Tetracon trim. The satin aluminum is going to be underneath it and around your dual climate control settings. 8.8-inch touchscreen. We have navigation with the pinch and the swipe click into the home button. And when you go into the car settings here, you just go into your settings. Go into your driver mode. Here you can alter the sport to make it as sporty as Drive. The same thing for your Eco Pro. You can also split screen this as 2 screens, and you can tailor all these wedges to make it easier for your everyday use. Put it into reverse. We have a 360-degree reverse camera with full trajectory. Click onto these little camera icons here, and you can see all around the vehicle. You have your backup assist, automatic parking. Click the car, and you'll go to your 3D view. Nothing here you can do, but you can over here. Clicking on these little icons will show you any imperfections around to make it easier for you. Your car wash will show the trajectory to just make it easy so you pull right in for your car wash. Open up in here, you'll have your USB, a 12-volt, and your wireless charging pad. Your iDrive, and this is touch. So I do like this because when you click onto it, we're going to type in an A. And look how easy it is. That's why I like the touchpad. You get that aluminum all around, sporty for your elbows. Open up inside, a USB, and it's a pretty deep and long storage pocket. M-Spec 3-spoke leather wrap steering wheel. It's heated, it's multi-function, paddle shifters. The gauge cluster has your different modes select, so you can toggle this to make it more sport derived as you want or make it more eco-friendly. Hit the BC button and you can change everything there on the right side, so that way you can see your pound-feet of torque and horsepower. Because it's the M440i, heads-up display, more of a flat dash that goes into the Harman Kardon sound system, satin aluminum for the door panel, one touch up and down for all the windows, memory seat for the driver. It's going to be more sport-derived for your elbows, a smaller storage pocket. For the back seats, headroom is not going to be an issue, although if I move side to side, whichever side I'm at, I'm going to be hitting the headliner. Leg space at 34.9 inches, so you do have a pretty decent amount. However, when you're sitting, you kind of sit more towards this way, so for your feet space, you're pretty much on the rails for the back seats. Otherwise, if you sit like this, it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable because you're sitting crooked. 2 USB-C ports, your third climate control, and your air vents. Storage behind both of the front seats. The door panel gets the satin aluminum on the top, more sport derived for your elbows and armrests. Harman Kardon comes into play with the one-touch up and down for your windows. The storage pocket is long, it's just not so wide, it's more narrow. Sitting into the center, headroom is not going to be an issue because they have it pretty much carved out. Leg space isn't either, but the feet space is going to be a little bit of footsie because of the way the seats are sit. You are going to be sharing substantial butt and shoulder space too, so it's going to be a little bit more up close and personal. 382 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque, sport mode. Here we go. They're always a fun vehicle. And when you're at this type of weight distribution, 51-49, I mean, you can do amazing things. This is a Gran Coupe, so you're not necessarily expecting to get the greatest weight distribution, but BMW goes the extra step and gives it to you, and what that equivalates to is a fun ride. I mean, look at this dynamics. Holds itself nicely, and on the out, I mean, this is a fun vehicle. Something you're gonna really enjoy taking the kids or going out to dinner, any of your daily commute. You can do all that and still have pleasure. Now the A-pillar, the way it's positioned can be an eyesore at some points, because when you're doing these maneuvers, you will be looking directly at it because the car is starting to turn. It's just all around good though. The steering to it, I feel good with the response. Has a little bit of weight. Now if we kick it into comfort, it changes that. It makes it very light. So everyday use, it ticks the box. Comparing this to the S5 Sportback, I like the RS5, but the price point to that one goes a little bit higher. I mean, it pretty much enters right near 100,000. New this year, they're doing a competition package, but it doesn't add any more power. This, the way it sets, is a more fun drive than the S5, because when you sit as a taller person, you're sitting higher up like this. So it's hard to find a happy medium, even though it's a comfortable car. So you're sitting above the dash, whereas this dashboard is just right underneath my chin, and the door panels are raised right to my arms. So I like the sport that you get with this Gran Coupe. Looking at it as the Genesis G70 3.3 turbo, awesome vehicle. The dynamics on it is really good too. It's actually the same 51-49 weight distribution, and it's going to be a touch quicker, but you have more interior space in this. And look at this. Set you back. Air noise doesn't necessarily funnel through the cabin as much as you would anticipate, considering you are lower to the ground, no dual pane windows, so the sound dampening is good. Going over some imperfections, you'll feel a little bit, but there's nothing of vibrations that's going to be going for your armrest or for the steering wheels. And with the lane keep assist, it's hard to even go over the lines because it just wants to keep pushing you and hugging you in. Going to the Mercedes AMG C43, that has a lot of power for a 2.0 turbocharged vehicle. And it's crazy that they're packing over 400 horsepower, but the torque is the same and your 0 to 60 is the same number. So all that extra performance doesn't equivalent to anything more performance driven. Now there is 3 things I like and 3 things that I dislike, because anything more than that, I'd be buying this Gran Coupe. To start off with, you get the best cargo capacity because it's a hatchback. So if you're really looking for a family alternative sports car and you don't want to break the bank account, this car does escalate higher up to around $60,000 and $70,000. But still, for what you're getting engine-wise and performance and luxury, it's an all-around package. The vehicle doesn't feel overly wide. The windscreen is oval, which is something that makes it a little bit more dynamic in the sense of the way it feels in the driver's seat. As for the length, it's going to be a little bit longer because it's a Gran Coupe and giving you a few areas of blind spot. But you got blind spot monitoring and lane keep assist, plus you got 382 horsepower. Turn radius at a stop point more or less. It's gonna take me to the second thing that I like, is the fun to drive in that weight distribution. Look at this. It just hugs. And because you get that exhaust note that filters in, it gives you a little bit more excitement, especially when you're comparing it to the Audi, because that is something that they added the competition package to give you a little bit more interior note of the exhaust. With the M440i Gran Coupe, you don't have to worry about that. You get the soundtrack. That's just at a 3 RPM. Nothing crazy. Put it into eco though, and it pretty much silences that exhaust to where you don't hear nothing but the road noise that comes in. The last thing that I like, when you option the M440i, you get the heads-up display. In any other 4 Series, you're not going to receive that. 3 things that I dislike starts off on the back seats. The way the bolstering is, it pushes you towards the center, so it gives a little bit of a harder sit for 3 adults or even 3 occupants going into the second thing for your feet space back there. Because of that, you're kind of straddling the way the driver or passenger seat rails are. So it does make it a little bit undesirable, even for just 2 occupants in the back seat, and that shouldn't be the case because they give you so much extra headspace considering this is a slope roof line. The last thing that I dislike is on the door panels and throughout the vehicle. If you don't get a feature, like you don't get memory seats for the passenger, you're gonna have the spot where it's supposed to be, but there's nothing there. In the back seat, they're gonna have to unlock and lock the doors, but it's not there. Just clean it up a little bit. And that's just giving it some throttle, but not hitting high RPMs. Definitely a great blend in everyday vehicle. With the rival perspective, this is going to be a lot more fun to drive for a little bit less out of your pocket when you're comparing it to the Mercedes-Benz, comparing it against the Audi. Great vehicle as well, just this one's going to set better with the weight distribution and the dynamics, and your performance is going to be better in the quarter mile. I'd like to thank BMW of Wesley Chapel for giving us this 2023 BMW M440i Gran Coupe for our car review. If you're already a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Hawkeye community. If not, I don't know what you're waiting for. Click the next video, the subscribe button, check out the Instagram, the merchandise and website, and everything we do here at Hawkeye Rides.